Greetings, Call of Duty fans. Welcome back to the Atlanta home series. It is opening weekend, day number 2. And boy, do we have a double header for you. Accidentally rhyming to start off the season. Oh my gosh. We are in the virtual set. Look at us study, man. We're in the virtual set. We got the city of Atlanta behind us. I'm feeling good. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm just more excited for this first matchup. For us, it's going to be our first cast of the entire year, and there's no better way to start it, man. We got OpTic versus Paris. It's going to be an insane match.
It definitely is. So what? Miles and Chance, they tried it.
Yeah.
Is it our turn to try this? Okay. We're going to do it the right way. On go. 3,
Ready?
2, 1, go. Oh! That was close.
We almost had it.
That was pretty good. I like that. All right. Without further ado, the fist bumps are out of the way. Let's go ahead and meet our first team, the Paris Legion.
Wonderful start here from Paris Legion. Paris Legion just about pushed that player off the hard point.
Just can they clutch up and go big?
Classic just being aggressive in the plane.
Fire's got to get on the bomb, and he will. He finds the kill.
Unbelievable stuff.
Was from the back end, able to pick up 3 along the way.
Paris Legions.
What a round.
That is your Paris Legion. You can see on screen a totally different looking roster in comparison to last year's study. Obviously, we transitioned from 5v5 to 4v4. We're a totally different looking team, and one of the guys to definitely look out for is the one kind of sitting in the front. Debuting today is that man, Fire40.
Yeah, man. He's going to be the rookie on this roster, man, making his very first appearance in the CDL. Besides the kickoff tournament, I'm super excited to watch this guy play. When I first started playing the game in the beginning of the year, we were running some 8s, and this guy was just an absolute monster, man. I'm excited for his debut.
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of things to be excited about when it comes down to Paris. But, obviously, they have one team they're facing off against today, a pretty big favorite. I know what, the common term is, what time does OpTic play? It's right now. Let's go ahead and meet OpTic Chicago.
Mighty keeps it going.
Normal, looking fantastic.
Envoy slaying his way through. Scump from up high, the king.
I'm out here doing what they thinking is irrational.
Really starting to run that score up.
I'm gonna make it back, I'm gonna make it back, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, OpTic Gaming are back. Chicago are a force to be reckoned with.
It's no surprise, Study. I mean, what? The OpTic Chicago team looked fantastic at Kickoff Classic. Without a doubt, one of the most dominant performances of the weekend, taking down LA Thieves 3-0. This team from top to bottom looks absolutely scary, especially with the new addition of Dashy.
When I think about this entire team, man, it's just spectacular players across the board. I can't even believe they were allowed to put this team together, man. You're adding Dashy back to Formal and Scump. They have previously teamed before, and they just had the vibes that are just out of this world. And when you have Envoy, it's going to be your S&E play caller, your sub-dominant kind of player. He's going to be that vocal leader for this team. I just don't see any weaknesses besides what Nameless said. For them, and S&E is the only thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Here are game fuel keys for Chicago. We'll get into those here in just a moment. But really, when we talk about this team study, as you called it, right, the addition of Dashy only really makes them more scary. And I know that there were a lot of talks about losing Arcitys, how that kind of factors into things. Envoy's really been kind of leading the way for the comms. But again, our game fuel keys to victory here for Chicago. Keep up the slaying dominance from Kickoff Classic. Again, in that match versus the LA Thieves, all players put up a 1.20. Major goal for them, and they kind of talked about it in a few of their content pieces. They want to get out of the gates early. They want to lock in those respawns. And as we've been discussing it, right? Feed off the talent. These guys, right? We know it, right? These guys are full with talent. You have to be aware of it, especially if you're on that Legion side. As we'll go ahead and take a look at the game fuel keys to victory now here for the Paris Legion. Study, walk me through them, buddy.
Gotta get high early, man. Use your slaying talent to steal an early respawn. And I'm looking at Aqua and Fire. Both players at the kickoff with a 1.3 and a 1.2 really stepping up. Fire to make his statement out the gate. This is your debut. You need to make an impact and make your name known worldwide, especially versus a team like OpTic. keep setting up Aqua for success. Like I said, 1.3 in the kickoff classic, and just communication, man. It all needs to be there. And then for communication, their leading player is going to be Classic. He's going to be that vocal leader that knows how to play the game really well. If he's able to step up, at least keep up in the slaying department with a couple of these OpTic players, and this should be a tremendous series.
Now, I want to ask you specifically on this game one, right? Because kind of out of the gates, just to kind of put in perspective for the folks at home, how important is this game one, right? It's the official kind of launch. I know we had the kickoff classic, but this is where the points really kind of start to come in. How important is this game one in regards to momentum for the remainder of this series for both of these teams?
Oh, well, it's absolutely huge, man, especially starting on Raid Hardpoint. This is one of those classics maps that you're going to have players like Scump, probably Formal, have played this back in the day. When we first started competing against each other back in Black Ops 2, which is basically like 10 years ago, they're going to have this map down to a T. So if you're new players like Fire, probably haven't got a chance. You have to adapt to this quick.
Yeah, you definitely do. And we talked about this map when it was in the rotation back in Black Ops 2. But Scump, he was one of the youngest players. 8 years later, he's now one of the oldest. A classic indeed as we get this thing started off. Paris having a few opportunities to hop inside the hill off the rip, but it is going to be Chicago taking over control early. And it looks as if they do hold spawns for next. Player number 4 possibly causing a little bit of problems. Fire, he gets cut down. Same thing with Dashy as he falls in the hill.
And this is great for OpTic right off the rip. You go 3 dead once again. You're going to be able to at least gain another 15 seconds on this first hill. And you have the rotation towards that kitchen side. So far, they're starting off this hard point hot. We're going to need Paris Legion to start focusing a little bit more on the rotation. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Fight through mid-map. Totally forget about that P1 hard point. Just set up for the second.
We'll see how they look to try to engage the front. Scump, first man in the line of fire. And Envoy actually tosses out the nade. That's going to be 3 in the feed. Classic doing everything he can through money, and it looks as if it actually is going to work out for him. So he is able to stay alive, and despite the nade, Legion do get the spawns kind of toward that back basketball court position. So highlight plays from Chicago. Paris still keeping strong.
Yeah, Classic made a tremendous play. Going around that water side, going to money, trying to pick up a 2-piece, forces his player to spawn at basketball, and the opposite players from OpTic to spawn towards Raid, but they just did a great job of just holding this from the front, eventually clearing out the players in the back. They're going to hold a full 60 on this P2, and since this is Raid Hardpoint, man, you're going to have to answer back quick on this garage hill, or this game can get out of hand quick for Paris.
Classic, one of the first men already out of the gates, and Legion, they actually end up spawning toward that back kitchen position. So if you're Chicago, this is great for you, given the start of this game. You're already in a great position in regards to the score, and now you can also lock down P2 to P3, which by no means is common. Fire with that 74U wants to try to get in here before the trophies start to get locked down. OpTic setting up camp as they will hold on at least to the start of this first set of rotations, but see what they have up their sleeves in regards to the initial attack as Envoy keeping it up on a 5 spree, starting things off at 10-4. How about a 6th one in a row? Dylan Envoy absolutely heating up as no one from Paris really even having an opportunity to get closer toward that hill. A few players still sitting in art. And how about the 7th? Envoy not slowing down. Heads over to top art. Don't tell me he's going to win with this fight. Oh, a little bit close. A little bit close. A good opportunity, but what a start from Chicago out of the gates. Already a 100-point advantage.
And this is scary for the Paris Legion. So far, they have gotten destroyed on every single one of rotations. Even when they're getting there early, people on OpTic are winning their gunfights one-on-one. And so far, they have grown to an 130-point lead. You saw that Envoy picked up that artillery. He's going to be able to use it off this rotation, which is why they sent in 3 towards that backside. But Fire and Classic trying to play spoiler, able to take 2 down, now forcing all of OpTic to spawn back at water.
I know we saw it for a moment, Fire. I think it was a 1-9 start in your debut. That's not exactly what you want as the Legion try to hold here at basketball. We're going to go to an Astro Gaming listen-in with OpTic Chicago.
Money, one shot. One shot, money, one shot.
With you, I'm after reload, Money, set.
Two on time. Money, two on time, I'm waiting. He's close. Ready? Outside. Let's go bait. Let's go. On the heady, hurt. On the heady, got 2. Dead. Push back. Yeah, they spawn water. Water in the back. Water in the back.
I hit up.
I'm playing water.
More warships, I think.
I have zip.
I'm behind him. Nice.
Yo, there's spawning auto. 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm looking kitchen.
You can get ring.
Yeah, I'm going ring. 2 spawn auto.
Cut out scraps.
I have ring, guys. I have ring.
One could be water too.
I got 1 ring.
I stuck one ring.
Check me water chips.
No,
I have
I have water now.
drinks.
Could be water stairs. I have water, guys. I have water.
I have kitchen.
Yo, right to kitchen. He's in the right
Eight
place.
tiki, bro.
Eight tiki fire. He's
I have
going water
right,
stairs.
you're
He's
right,
going water
help,
stairs.
help, help.
Yeah, I have one ring.
I have two. That's one shake. Give me there.
Water, right? One shot time. One shot time. Got it. You got some stack if you want.
One
Get the ring. Yeah, stack. I have ring.
I have kitchen. I have kitchen.
I have kitchen. Full stairs.
Here.
I have
Dead.
full stairs. I have full stairs. I have nothing ring. Nothing stairs. I have your kitchen. Kitchen, Yuli. Two of them. Stay down. I have your push. One split out. One more. I spawned new. Two there.
I'm watching our Zig.
Yeah.
Communication, a good indicator for the way that this game is going, Study. I mean, what, really kind of throughout that calm session, it is Chicago streak after Chicago streak. The XM4 is hot for Formal. It is hot for Dashy. I mean, everybody is going off right now. I think Formal just a moment ago was like 12-2. Now he's 13-4. They are all guns ablaze to start off this raid hardpoint.
This is unbelievable, man. This is a great first rotation of hardpoints. They dominated every single rotation. They are winning a majority of their gunfights. We were talking about it beforehand. Aqua and Fire need to be those players to step up. 7-15 for the young man. Decided to change off that submachine gun and pull out that XM4 to try to bring his team back into this one. But the good thing is, they get this remaining time. They do have that spawns for kitchen. OpTic's going to look like they're going to waste a lot of streaks going for this Q1 to try to get some time to push towards that 200-point mark. But Paris Legion, they need an answer, and 3 go down for them right there. Hopefully they're able to keep the rotation spawns towards kitchen. And that number 2 player, which is going to be Classic, has a big gunfight versus Envoy.
Yeah, big situation right now for Classic. Envoy in the back spawns, able to shut him down. So a good attempt for Envoy, at least for the moment. Classic cleans him up. Paris now with the P1 time, now heading into kitchen. This is their opportunity to start to bring this one back, and it has to happen now. Scump pretty much walks right through the front door of kitchen. Nobody watching it. Scraps also ends up getting taken down. Classic up close. He also falls. T2P, they hold strong. OpTic pretty much walk right through the front of the hill, and they take it right back over. That's what, the third, if not fourth hill that OpTic has pretty much not held the rotation for, yet grabbed the time, as now we see a team kill come through on Scraps and Fire.
Yeah, Paris Legion, they just did not have a good setup. Nobody watching the front side, just that one player sitting in money. All they have to do is just break through that front, forcing the players from Paris to eventually spawn out towards water. And now OpTic was holding this from the front. They have 22 seconds remaining on this hill. They're going to be able to push it to another hill into that P3. It's looking like Paris is going to be fully set up to try to bring this game back in. But the way that OpTic are starting off this hot point is so hot.
It is, and your Legion, you're just trying to put up the flames. You're trying to do anything you can, try to mitigate a lot of the early dominance that we've seen. As Envoy is calling the artillery. It used to be called Lambos. The cars here now, they can explode. And unfortunately for a few of the Legion numbers, they're probably learning that progressively more and more. A lot of experience with Chicago. When we talk about a few of these maps, this one in particular, as Envoy comes pretty much right through and ends up taking them down. It's the explosives working to his advantage. There's a few more seconds left, and this one is going to be cleaned up. Can Scraps get there in time? No, not going to happen. And OpTic Chicago come out with a dominant Game 1 victory.
Woo! That's exactly how you want to start if you're OpTic, man. From start to finish, they were dominating every single rotation. The team comms were there when we went for the Astro Gaming listening. And then even towards the very end of that game, they were just hitting the front of hills, knowing that they had streaks, and they had the advantage to break it. And they were just dominant from start to finish, man. Great first hard point from OpTic.
That's really what you want, right? Obviously, if you're Chicago, we've been talking about it. You know, coming into this first hard point, you want to try to have a good performance early, and for that guy in particular, right? Dashy, there's a lot of talk in regards to him. You know, was he the right pickup for Chicago? Is he the right player to kind of fuel what is this next season for OpTic? And obviously now back under Hex and all those things, all the hype that kind of leads into it, and that is exactly what you want to see if you're OpTic. On the flip side for Paris, I mean, what Study? We've talked about it, right? Coming into this series, a big one for Legion is, hey, can they come out of the gates early? Can they try to, maybe walk away with the Game 1 hardpoint? That is now out of the window, without question, as a number of different highlight moments for Chicago throughout this one. Game 2 S&D is now circled for Legion as, I don't want to say a must-win, because, you know, you kind of get it, but based on that first respawn, it's not looking great.
Yeah, man. Going into that first respawn, I was expecting it to be a lot closer. We were talking about Aqua and Fire both dropping 1.3, 1.2 throughout the entire Kickoff Classic. And there, they just didn't wake up. So if you're going into the Search and Destroy, you need to be able to bounce back.
Definitely do. Well, obviously a lot of pressure now put on to Paris, as we'll be right back with game number 2 right after this.
You could try, you can't stop it. OC dub, way up, rocket. Acting up, acting that way out of pocket. For the grind, for the hustle, I can't knock it. Do what it take, do what you do, you could try. Yeah. I've been up, I've been stuck up in the sky. Yeah. Only at the top, I can't lie. Haters watch it, throw the piece, tell them bye, 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 bye. I got things to do, I got bands to get. Competition up in smoke, ooh, cannabis. Ask me why I'm a top 10 candidate. I'm so fly, I'm so clean, ooh, and I'm rich. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the scoreboard, I'm running up stats. Numbers don't lie, that's facts. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. They can't stop it, they can't stop the kid. Check the numbers, I'm running it up. I got penny bands, I'm thumbing it, yeah. Tell them move. Get up out the way. It's ludicrous, yeah, how much I'm getting paid. 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10K. No mob ties for the player being made. Now how you spoke to your girl, better check her phone. And do you know what she doing when you not at home? And when she tell you she alone, but she not alone. She got a lot of options, eeny, miny, mo. She gon' do what she want, ain't no stopping it all. Pour the liquor in the cup, yeah, I'm topping it off. I might take your girl, take a trip to the
There's not a single person that plays at my level, at my age, period. I play every single day. I'm putting kids on the ground every single day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You guys showed so much love for Season 1. The Barracks is back for Season 2. Brought to you by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. In this episode, we're going one-on-one with OpTic Gaming owner Hex. He's one of the most well-known Call of Duty personalities.
I can guarantee you, and I mean with the capital G, that I am going to continue to sell more hoodies than anybody in Call of Duty has ever sold.
Damn.
Period. End of story.
I coached the team for a while. He got his baby back. Reacquired OpTic Gaming, now under OpTic Gaming Chicago here in the CDL. The mastermind who made the Green Wall a household name,
OpTic Gaming on the board,
is now back home. Stay tuned for all that and more on this episode of The Barracks.
And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
This season, T-Mobile is jumping in where Metro by T-Mobile left off to deliver even more access and ways to engage with CDL action that you love. You can watch the full episode of The Barracks on our CDL YouTube channel. Also, T-Mobile weekly drop during this match. Make sure to text T-Mo Drip to 313131 to win. Prizes this year will include CDL merch, opportunities to drop in with your favorite pros, exclusive access during T-Mobile All-Star Weekend and Champs, as well as so much more. Make sure to tune in each week to find out what's in play. Again, text T-Mo Drip to 313131 for a chance to win using my T-Mobile device. Study, actually, a lot of awesome stuff for the people watching at home. Like the gameplay is obviously entertaining. We also got ways to reward the viewers for that, for of course their support and for obviously their dedication. But tell you what, man, getting back into this game, that was quick, a lot quicker than I think we both expected. We knew Chicago, right? They looked excellent in respawns. Legion, a lot of questions in particular for them coming into that game one, but that was just dominant.
Yeah, man, every single rotation off the rip, they were just winning their gunfights for OpTic. They were flipping spawns, holding them perfectly. You just heard it in the comms. It just sounds so fluent, sounds so clean. They were just ready for that.
They definitely were very well and prepared. OpTic Chicago, now really for Paris Legion. What to kind of start off this segment, I think, kind of in the start of the show, the analysts were kind of talking about it, Lottie and the boys. It was like, hey, search and destroy, this is going to have to be their win. If you don't get that early respawn, search and destroy, pretty much circle it. This is where you have to start to bring it back. Now, when it came down to the Kickoff Classic, at least for Paris, they did win one search and destroy, that one being on Miami. They actually dropped checkmate to London 6-3. So A little bit of history when it comes down to this map. Not fond history. But we'll see how this round begins to start off as Envoy finding the first blood onto Fire, the bomb. Quickly trying to make its way, of course, into that top plane. B, the preferred site. We talked about this map with no smokes, no snipers. Definitely has changed things up a bit, but current 2 versus 2. Scraps may have an opportunity to try to cut down Scump at the plant. Does officially go through, and now we have a little bit of a stack up. Players just happening to walk right past each other. Formal ends up falling, and there goes Scump as well. Paris grabbing the first one.
That was a great defense. You saw Envoy, he opened up with the first blood onto Flyer into that plane side, but Aqua and his teammate Classic were pushed up on towards that AS and D. Classic eventually pushed up and got one. Aqua was there for the trade. Once that bomb goes down, Scraps knew exactly where the players ran out towards that left wing. Aqua put himself in a great position right here. Not panicking, just waiting for both players to come out. It was a great first defense, and if you're Paris Legion, this needs to be that answer back. Because, like I said, this is a team that was formed with players that nobody really wanted to put on their rosters. So this can be one of those scary teams, especially in a map like Search and Destroy.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Legion, a lot of guys kind of coming together. I know in a few conversations with guys like Fire, Scraps as well, they've talked about, hey, you know, we're trying to rally around kind of being in a similar situation. We'll see if that kind of factors in this game too, trying to rally around each other, bring this one back. B, yet again the target and Scump from the floor. Does get dropped by the nade, so nice early start for Paris in your beginning offense. The trophy's going to be out. Dashy, aware of it, decides to go ahead and hold on. They try to attack this from the wing. On the outside, actually through the windows. Classic able to shut down Dashy. An instant 2 versus 4 now for Chicago as Formal able to pretty much pipe on in, takes down Scraps. Aqua from afar could try for the challenge, but one up top, one down below. Formal, last man alive. Could make something happen. Does shut down Fire, so 2 more players left, and both of them just happen to be right where he's walking as Paris starting things off well.
Another great offense. You saw Classic open it up with that first nade onto Scump. Fortunately for Scump, he got stuck. There were no trophies yet on the map. But as soon as Classic was able to get that kill, throws his trophy down, works for the bomb plant. Almost trying to do everything he can in that 1v3, but that was just a great setup overall by Paris Legion.
Yeah, good setup from Paris, and again, like we discussed it, right? This is what you want. This is what you need off of what was a very difficult first map loss. I think it was like 7 minutes clocked in at the way they envisioned for it to start. Fire, 0-2. Brick off the Search and Destroy. And on the other end for Chicago, it looks as if it's going to be that 2-2 split now toward the A Street. Envoy, he likes to rain here. We saw that in the Kickoff Classic versus the Thieves. 2 early headshots for the Legion. That attack pretty much over toward the opposite side. Quickly gets foiled. Scump now on the flank. Gets punched in the face, and Classic is going to be there. Dashy is going to at least find the trade, but really in back-to-back-to-back rounds, OpTic finding themselves in non-favorable positions as the Legion are looking strong off the start, and a lot of it really kind of came from this initial push here, Stud.
Yeah, that's the second time so far in their defense that they're sending 2 players towards that A site. And they're just being aggressive, making sure they're eliminating that side of the map from OpTic Gaming. Once they gain all that information, even if players are there, they're winning the trades. They're always putting themselves in a man advantage. They're really playing their defense as well.
I know Chicago talked a lot, really kind of coming into, you know, kind of opening weekend here. The Atlanta home series, Search and Destroy, is one that they've kind of felt confident in. It's been one that they've been really working on, but so far in this checkmate, Paris have without a doubt had their number. As Dashy quickly brought down to 16 HP, a common spot as Paris quickly around the corner, check it, but Dashy, he's long gone, at least for the time. So, site cleared out. This is no surprise, the bomb site to watch. Classic's obviously going to be able to get it down, but come toward the flank, may be able to catch an angle, tosses out the nade just to get some information, goes for the challenge, no teammate support, tries to hide behind the bomb. Scraps is going to be too good, shuts him down with the headshot. Envoy, meanwhile, on the flank is able to take down Aqua. Fire realizes it, Envoy doesn't care. Here comes the pinch, Scraps will fall, and that is going to be a defuse. Now in for Chicago. Envoy continually on the flank.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal play out of Envoy there. Aqua, he was actually sitting in that back tower, And he got really bad timing there. As soon as he decided to jump out, Envoy pinches through that AS&D site, was able to pick up 2 players, and eventually win the round for his team. And now it's a great adjustment out of OpTic there. They were giving up that B site on their very first offense, but they decided to completely give it up and work around the backside, and that's what Envoy did, and he executed that perfectly. Good round win.
Yeah, I liked what we saw, at least from the Legion off the rip, right there. Able to get Dashy off the wing, and they pretty much collapsed from there on, but the flank from Envoy, we know this guy in Search and Destroy. It's no secret, right? His opportunity last year back at MW, presence was felt in a number of different ways, but I feel like a lot of the highlights were in the mode of Search and Destroy, and he's able to rally back. The young shot caller for really a group of veterans, obviously Dashy, younger player still, but E2P, got a lot of respect for this kid, and see what he's got.
You see the adjustments coming out of Paris Legion on their defense. See Paris Legion just completely giving up that AS&D. They have a player that was sitting into, which is Aqua, watching that cross. OpTic was like, I'm not doing it again. We have lost it twice, and it's just not going to work. So Dashy's going to open up with the first blood onto Fire. Now it's looking like, with 45 seconds remaining on the clock, they're looking like they're going to commit towards B. They're going to have their hands full with that #1 player in Scraps sitting at the back left corner. Should be a bait and switch, and the Envoy's going to commit to the challenge. Pull up the trophy. Almost going to be able to take down one. Now it's a 4v1 situation, and he's going to get taken down. I love the patience out of OpTic there to make those adjustments on their offensive rounds. Good round win.
Yeah, and back-to-back, honestly, starting to echo things forward. Formal, best play of the round, is able to shut down 2. Both of them trying to make somewhat of an adjustment, but it was pretty much really the flip of a switch, therefore Chicago. And really, we started talking about Paris quite a bit, saying, hey, this could be their opportunity to really kind of start to get things going. Chicago fires away with 2 quick rounds. You start to notice a few of those streaks, indicating really the big difference makers toward the end of things. Envoy now on 3 in a row. On the other end, again, the debut for Fire, 1-4 to start. Not what you want to see, but again, I don't want to say the game is early, but there's still some time for that guy to have a few good moments, Dud.
Yeah, it definitely is. He is just getting his feet wet in his first CDL match of his entire career. So, he probably has a couple jitters in him, especially going up against players like Scump, like Formal, who you've been watching for a really long time. As I say that, they're going to be able to open up with 2 kills. Now it's Fire and Scraps. 50 seconds remaining in a 4v2 situation. Scraps does have that bomb in towards B, but there's a lot of players from OpTic surrounding him.
Yeah, a lot of players ready to engage. Scraps is really just waiting for a call from Fire. We're really just waiting for some teammate support, given that the entire team of Chicago is still alive and they know exactly where they are. Fire able to find the pick onto Dashy, but are they aware? Scump is right around the corner. Scump able to find one. Scraps able to trade, but it is going to be Chicago really just with that man count advantage. The 4 versus 2 is going to work out for them. They knew exactly where they were, just in the center of the plane. Nice shot from Fire to earn the best play, but it's not good enough to earn the round.
The adjustments so far out of OpTic are huge, man. That's 3 straight rounds from them. They've realized that both of their offenses, they cannot push A, and it's worked out for them twice. Now their defenses, they've just completely given up A. They're stacking towards that left side of the map. Formal was able to open up with the first blood, currently on a 3 spree. He's going to decide to play it slow this time. But Paris, once again, trying to fight for that plane control. #2, which is going to be Classic, pushing up towards that bottom left wing. He might be able to get aggressive this round.
Classic wanting to be aggressive again. Envoy really right around the corner. If you can get that bit of control, he's going to fire out a few shots, but he really kind of around the corner makes things really difficult for Paris just in terms of wanting to hold that plane control. Given it is the center of the map and given that it is most common bomb site, really the only one that we've seen attacked for the most part.
They have the cross set up. So what Classic and Aqua were doing right there, they had Aqua watch his entire left side of the map, and with Classic watching his entire A push through. It was a great setup. Unfortunately, going to see Formal open over the kill. Now we're in a 2v2 situation. Classic and Fire versus Dashy and Formal. 28 seconds remaining on the clock. Bomb is going to be down on top of the plane. Dashy, unfortunately, is going to get taken down by Classic. And Paris Legion are going to walk away with that round.
And a good round for Legion, right? We were kind of echoing it. We were talking about it kind of off the start. Envoy was trying to get some presence really kind of toward that back plane positioning. As you alluded to it, the crossfire from Legion kind of chokes out Chicago there for a moment.
Yeah, it kept them nice and hesitant.
Classic having some good situations here.
Yeah, Classic played that phenomenal. He knew that Envoy was around the corner, did not commit to that gunfight right off the rip. He just continued to trust in Aqua, having his cross, and eventually it worked out for them, man. That was a great defensive setup out of Paris Legion.
Now Legion will have their chance again at offense. We'll see if A possibly could be attempted at. Again, it's obviously a majority of the time it is going to be over in playing at B, and again, it'll be more of the same. Aqua looking for a few players possibly toward the bottom A wing, but nothing given, at least for now. A lot of these fights are pretty much just, what, kind of earning some shoulders, getting some line of sights. Chicago are trying to be ultra careful. Envoy gets hit with a nade, still alive. Nothing doing yet. Just as I say that, Dashy finds the first pick.
Dashy with the first blood is huge, but that number 7, who is going to be Envoy, has a big gunfight versus Aqua. Aqua's trying to work around that backside, but Envoy's able to spot him. He's going to back down, repositions himself. Now, Paris Legion had to eventually work this bomb plan towards B. We're going to have that number 8 player, which is going to be Scump, sitting on the opposite corner. Envoy with the big gunfight onto Aqua, winning his individual gunfight. Being that island player right there. Scump able to take down Scraps. Last player is going to be up, and he's going to get taken down by Formal. We have it all at 4-4, man. These adjustments so far on this map are what keeping both of these teams alive, man.
And I feel like, too, you know, when it comes down to a map like Checkmate, I mean, it is kind of minor adjustments because, you know, everybody knows where the fights are going to be at, right? It's going to be in the middle of the plane, but the way that you engage, the way that you find the first blood, the way that the offense and defense kind of works the A street, a lot of little things to pick up on, but as you called it, right, Legion, Chicago, both kind of being aware of each other's tendencies, trying to fire away at it, and we find ourselves now in a 4-4. What does Chicago have planned? Decent run toward that left wing. In the meantime, constant trades and Formal able to drop 2 in a row. Aqua now last alive and uses the trigger discipline, but not going to be good enough as Chicago calls in the audible. How about the blitz? As that's now going to be their 5th. And how about this play from Formal, man?
Oh, man. That was an insane play from Paris. They tried to catch him off guard, trying to rush towards that middle plane, but Scump read it easy. Sat on the back of that control room, was able to pick up 1, and he saw Formal slide in, able to pick up another 2. I would have liked Paris Legion, you know, but going down to the final couple of crunch rounds to just play their standard setup that they had. Watching their crosses was the best so far defensive round that they had. And being aggressive and playing right there, I feel like it's going to cost them in the end. Fire 3 and 7, Aqua 4 and 6. They have a big offensive round to win right here, especially with the way that OpTic have been making their adjustments on their defensive rounds. They're going to have to open it up with a nice early first blood, especially on a player like Scump who plays that plane.
I was curious off the start if we were going to see Paris kind of show that same aggression that Chicago showed last round, but I want to say it was Scraps who realized kind of that opposite side was open. No trophy is going to blind Scraps for the time. Pretty much just trying to tuck away yourselves in these corners. Dashy finds the first blood. Classic's there for the trade. Formal pretty much just hanging out on the wing. Plays big again. Aqua's there to take him down. The constant X and OR fights are now going to leave Aqua all by himself. A 1 versus 2 to try and force the round 11. Bomb is going to be up in top plane, and if you're Dashy and Envoy, the new young duo, they want to try to stay together. Dashy might have saw him, and Dashy does. Chicago walk away with the search and destroy as well. A closer one, but another victory, this time 6-4.
Oh, man. OpTic. We were talking about their S&D woes before this series started, and that's a great S&D showing right off the rip of your very first match of the entire season, man. You saw the mid-game adjustments, both on offense and defensive rounds, and they were just picking them apart easy. We saw Fire. He was that player that was first blooded on that very last round, trying to challenge both Scump and Dashy in the back of that plane. It's probably not your best bet, especially with those 2 kind of players. But that was a great overall S&D from OpTic. If you're Paris Legion, this one's going to sting a little bit. Now you're down 0-2 in the series versus probably one of the best respawn teams in the entire CDL. Even though we're just starting today, it's going to be scary going into map 3 being 0-2 if you're Paris.
Yeah, not a fun start for Paris by any means, but when we take a look at that scoreboard, man, Formal 11-6, Envoy 8-4, but really Formal was kind of the guy to watch, especially kind of toward the end of these rounds. Had a number of different awesome highlight plays, but I mean, you really called it well, Study. It was kind of this moment from Chicago where, hey, I think it was, an 0-3 start for them. They start to make a few of these adjustments. They quickly begin to bring things back. They start to kind of learn from the tendencies. And again, on a map like Checkmate, it can be a little bit difficult to adjust given the general strategy, which is going to be known. You try to work that second and third lane and really kind of go from there. But really just solid plays from Chicago all around, and especially from that man Formal.
Formal was opening it up, man. When you saw Scump sliding into that plane, he was able to pick up that first blood with his submachine gun, but Formal was always there for that trade. Even if his teammate didn't go down, he was picking up 2 pieces left and right for his team. This was the biggest round of the game for me, though, man. When Paris Legion decided to just play aggressive in towards the plane, eventually give up first blood and also second blood, so it turned into a 4v2. It was just impossible, man. I would have liked to see them just play their cross setup that they had previously with Aqua and Classic, both watching the opposite sides. Unfortunately, they misread that play. OpTic read it easy, and that was a good round win, and eventually closing out the map for OpTic. It was a good series so far, up 2-0 for them. Yeah, that was our U.S. Army tactical play. Again, Formal being a big difference maker when we talk about that search and destroy performance. Overall, Chicago with a great early beginning. Can Legion start to bring it back into control? We'll find out right after this.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Use code CDL 2021 for a special CDL launch event discount on GameFuel.com. Tournament audio and team listenings are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
What's the point of grinding if you ain't gon' ball? What you doing when the money comes? Gotta get it now, ain't no time to stop. Tell them I want everything, yeah, I want it all. What's the point of grinding if you ain't gon' ball? I gotta get to the cream, I've been the cream of the crop. I gotta get to the green, already been in the top. Shawty was so with your man, talking the game to fly. I want everything, yeah, I want it all. What's the point of grinding if you ain't gon' ball?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to opening weekend here at the Atlanta home series. Folks, don't forget, during this match to text TMO-DRIP to 313131 to win. Prizes this year will include CDL merch, opportunities to drop in with your favorite pros, exclusive access during T-Mobile All-Star Weekend and Champs, as well as so much more. Make sure to tune in each week to find out what's in play. Again, don't forget, text TMO-DRIP to 313131, obviously for a chance to win. Don't forget, folks, like I said, it's easy. TMO-DRIP 313131. All right, stud. Let's get into the core of this situation that we've got going on right now. Chicago, they come in, they really start off hot, right? They win the hardpoint on raid pretty dominantly. We come into the search and destroy. Legion are looking pretty good. OpTic makes some adjustments. Formal decides to go absolutely off, and now we find ourselves 2-0. Legion, obviously, and their kind of debut match, along with Chicago, but you're talking about guys like Fire, Scraps. I mean, there's a lot of situations going on here for them. I mean, what needs to happen in this control? I mean, who needs to step up? Players that you're looking out for? Is this a situation where you're looking at somebody in particular, an in-game leader, to step up and kind of control the comms right now?
I'm specifically looking at your veterans. I'm looking at Aqua. I'm looking at Scraps. These are players that need to be able to slay with the best of the best. And the way that OpTic is playing right now, they are not missing a beat. If you're going into this control, which is going to be on raid, you know how fast-paced this map is going to be. Once you kill everybody at A, they're all going to be spawning at B. You kill them all at B, they're all going to be spawning at A. So it's all going to be about just who's going to be keeping that pace, who's going to be slaying out for their respective team. And I'm just looking forward to how Paris is going to be able to bounce back here, because if they do not match the slaying power of OpTic, this series is going to be done.
Yeah. Going to be over in, I don't want to say record time, but pretty darn close to it. Different adjustments needed for Legion is already off the rip. Chicago finding 2 early ones as they'll look to go ahead and grab some time over at A. Nearly 1 tick through, and Scump's already thinking about the future. He's already taking a look in Laundry, may even try to go for the rotation toward back jungle. If it's clear, they may actually try to go for this, so something to keep in mind. Chicago already off the rip, finding A. I think that's player 2 in Classic who's trying to go for the flank. And he will end up taking down Envoy, but nonetheless, off the rip, Chicago, they grab the first point quick. And that's, what, 2 minutes now on the clock for them to kind of work over at B.
Yeah, well, that's 2 kills coming in from Dashy, able to eliminate both of those players at the zigzag area. You have a couple players that were trying to go around that backside towards Laundry. That player in number 4, which is going to be Fire, holding that backside push through, forcing all the players from Paris Legion to spawn that basketball. Formal able to open up with 1. 2 players trying to fight for Kitchen, but that number 3 player who's Aqua, being the nuisance on the side of OpTic's base, they have to try to find him quick. 3 go down. Last player is going to be Aqua. He's going to get traded. Now it's going to be a full stack onto B. What a flawless round so far to OpTic.
Just how they drew it up. Dashy off the rip. 5-0 start. He's thinking maybe about streaks for the future. Quickly has to turn around because that's a 3-piece coming through from Legion. So Paris do manage to get the collapse, but again, if you're Chicago, you're talking about, what, that 1 tick progress already? They'll take that, given the situation. So Legion definitely going to have to be conscious of it. The live situation, not really all that major, at least for the time. Fire's going to catch the boots of Envoy, shut him down, and try to get him as far away from the point as possible. As Paris trying to set up, I don't want to say a spawn trap by any means, but they're definitely conscious of where the opposing team happens to be, kind of toward the other side of Lambos. Fire was, in some cases, spawn blocker there, and now has the opportunity to play spoiler here for Top Mansion. That's going to be 3 in a row for him. Finally does get taken down, but that's really just because he was overwhelmed by the amount of Chicago players that were near him.
This is a great defensive hold out of Paris. All their positioning, you're going to see Scraps with a big 3-piece. Unfortunately, he's going to get taken out by Scump. But now all the players from Paris Legion are going to be out of the base, except for 1 who's going to be Classic, trying to just stay alive. But so far, man, they're just getting all the kills, pushing up the map control, forcing OpTic to push either straight or wrap back. And all the kills are just going in favor of Paris Legion. This is a great defensive hold, even though they gave up that A-cap nice and early.
Yeah, great response from Legion now. Chicago just look to try to find any little bit of an advantage that they can. The dominance early, as you called it, but really since then it has been all Legion. Scraps does get dropped. No respawns remaining now for Chicago. Pretty much about valuing your life like it is in Search and Destroy. Envoy drops from the front. There goes Dashy, Formal, now all on to Scump, and he's not going to be able to get to the point in time. He falls as well. And that's Legion responding valiantly. And in some ways, I know I kind of said it off the start study, it looked like a spawn trap. I mean, that kind of was, right? They had everything locked down, and Chicago, they couldn't break free.
Yeah, once they realized that OpTic already capped that A point, they got a clean 3-4 down, and they started pushing up for more map control. Once you're fighting for that art side area, you're going to spawn all the players from OpTic to spawn on that water street. Some players decide to rat pack, some players decide to push forward. All the kills are just going in favor of Paris right there. That was just a great defensive hold out of them. Hopefully, they had the same exact answer on this offense.
Yeah, we'll see for Legion how this next round will start to shape up. In fact, let's go to an Astro Gaming listening with Paris.
Water stairs? Yeah, water steps holding across on one shot. Got money. I'm dead. One's water steps still.
Water stairs still. Go on, flank. Envoy flanked.
I'm come absolute. Watch that. I'll see you guys one. Yeah, I don't see nothing. He's fighting. Yeah, he's in bedroom. He's in bedroom playing for us.
Money.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm pulling out.
Bottom bed.
Bottom bed. Pushing up. One in the corner as well. Scump absolute. One in the corner. Yeah, I got him.
4. Zombies.
Yeah, he's in.
Ticket.
Nice. I have a trophy on this. I'm getting best one.
I got a trophy basketball.
Money. Yeah, I need it. They have trophies.
Give me that money. Dashy sliding money weak. I'm gonna try to push him.
Hey, left corner.
Tree. Nice.
Money. One's pinching more there. One money. No, two money.
Job's done. Let's go.
I got money on me. One shot. Yeah, one's the money. One's
Black van. You know me?
One is gonna be behind us, bro. That should be top 100. One is on the stairs.
I don't know about you, but that sounds like a team who's hungry to try to bring this one back, making some good progress early at B. They quickly bounce over to A now. What'd you like there from the Legion throughout that comm session?
I just liked how they committed themselves towards that B point. You heard Scrap say, job done. Getting 2 ticks at B right off the rip, forcing all those players to try to rat back and kill you off is the best case scenario because you're all just going to spawn at A and eventually work your captures. But as I say that, OpTic is completely slayed out that A point, pushed up all the way in Arc, going to force all the players from Paris Legion to hit through this water side. But they're fully set up for this. If you're Paris Legion, someone needs to open up with that first blood eventually to work one way.
This is what we saw.
That's a good way with a trophy.
Yeah, that is indeed. This is kind of what we saw at the Kickoff Classic and what we saw in the last round, right? Envoy just kind of wants to hang out in Lambos. He wants to try to make those players spawn toward that back mansion position so that everybody from Chicago knows exactly where the push is coming from. It's by no means the more favorable side. We talk about that A point, quickly trying to hop inside of money. That is Dashy. Manages to take down Classic and Legion. They're trying to go for the pinch. They want to try to eliminate this setup as best as they can. Envoy's pretty much going to hang out there, try to find a few calls from time to time. Scraps is able to wipe him away. And we've got pretty much stragglers on both sides of the map. Now it's going to be Fire, who finds himself over in jungle. And I think Scump's somewhat conscious of it. 40 seconds on the clock. Both teams similar when it comes down to the life position. Fire falls, and meanwhile, it's the Legion who are hopping inside of A. 1 tick left.
Well, it all started with Scraps winning that one-on-one versus Envoy. You saw that opposite player from Paris Legion flanking around the backside. They were eventually forcing all the players from OpTic to spawn at water. There's going to be one player on this point. Classic versus Envoy. He's going to get taken down. Envoy trying to do everything he can to just stall enough time for his teammates to get to him. 2 kills are going in the favor of both sides. Dashy's here for the help. No respawns left for Paris Legion. Dashy with 2. 3 players remaining. I cannot believe Envoy just made that play. I thought this was 100% going to go in Paris Legion's favor. But unfortunately, man, Envoy stalled enough time for his teammates to get there. 20 seconds remaining, 5v3. Scump's going to get taken down, but 2 players remaining, 14 seconds versus all the players of OpTic. This is going to be a tough task to do. This should be tied 1-1.
Should be. We'll see what Fire and Scraps have up their sleeves. 4 seconds left. Can Fire find the peak? And Scump's not going to hand his life over. And really from there, Paris not able to hop inside of the point. And my goodness, what started off great for the Legion ends up going in the opposite direction, and really it's all because of this play from Envoy, the major flank to clear out Ring. We can talk about the number of different highlight plays that Envoy has throughout the season, and a majority of the time it's him being so pesky on the flank, a round that should have gone the opposite way, but it's Envoy putting his stamp on this game, giving Chicago a round that I don't want to say they didn't deserve, but didn't look like they deserved it, at least when it came down to the beginning phases. But 1-1 we go.
It's looking like OpTic are going to try to do the exact same thing Paris just did. Try to go towards that B point. Formal able to open up a first blood onto the guy in pocket. There is going to be a player in money. Envoy's going to be able to spot him, but your main objective here is just try to earn some early ticks if you're OpTic Gaming. They're eventually going to be able to get one. Now it forces all the Paris leads to try to wrap back and get them off. That number 3 player who's canceling the spawn in Aqua is in such a great position. If he goes down here, all the players from OpTic will spawn at A. Him just playing his live is perfect.
Aqua does end up getting taken down, so really when you kind of see that push off to B in the beginning phase, it really has been, in really the last 2 rounds and the last 3 rounds, the opposition, the defensive team instantly wants to try to put somebody inside of Lambo to block off that spawn. They wanted to try to keep siphoning into B, get put into somewhat of that line of fire attack, as Formal was hanging out there for a moment. Scraps is going to wipe him away. So 2 ticks of progress over at B for OpTic, as now they'll quickly transfer their forces off of spawn, now back toward A, and that's really the way that raid works, Study. But it's not necessarily a garrison type situation. You got some freedom when it comes down to both these control points.
Yeah, you just got to go back and forth, and eventually if you know the opposite team is going to be able to cap that one, you push up the entire opposite side, and that's where you see Aqua push up all the way through Waterside, trying to flank towards that art area. He's going to decide to go back, but this number 1 player, Scraps, is just causing a spoiler, forcing them all to spawn back, eventually worry about this player. But number 7, pay attention to Envoy, sitting in basketball nice and patiently, just waiting for a player to push through. They only need 1 more tick at B. So far, they just eliminate Aqua right here at this top window, and they should have a full setup at getting it.
Good opportunity. What, 2 versus 1? Classic ends up getting dropped. That's Envoy again, trying to cause some issues for the Legion every single opportunity they get to try to pop inside of the hill, try to get a line sight over at B. They end up falling over in Little Room. Classic and Fire, they'll combine for 2, so that will wipe away Chicago for now. Keep in mind, they still got a minute and 14 on the clock, and these rounds are huge for the Legion, because this very well could be our final game. Not letting OpTic get to that 2-1 advantage is everything, as Formal staying strong, and Tiki. Envoy drops as well, so limited forces, but Formal hops in. Can he win the fight versus Fire? On the other side, it's actually Scump finding 2 inside a kitchen, so this is great progress. Can anybody from the Legion actually hop inside of the point in time? And they won't. They will not hop inside of the hill, and that's going to be Chicago. Really awful Formal's play, walking away with this round.
Yeah, Formal want to win a big one-on-one gunfight towards that back basketball area. He played his life well, but the entire time Scump was working through that middle map, forces himself through kitchen and able to take out both players that were playing in this money area. It wasn't obviously the final kill cam because Aqua won it there, but Scump came back and got 2. And then once he was able to do that, opens up the entire map, forcing all the players from Paris Legion to spawn back Laundry. It was a great setup out of OpTic. Like I said, getting a nice 2 early ticks onto B was the best case scenario. They saw Paris Legion do it on their very first offense. They're able to answer right back on their second offense to be able to put themselves up 2-1.
Oh, man. Oh, off the start, Envoy accidentally sticks Scump in the back. I'm sure the Cobs are pretty fun for that one. Maybe a future CDL video that we get to see how he reacts. But not the start that you want, but given the way the last 2 rounds have worked, Chicago have had a lot of things go in their favor. One kind of minor detail there is going to give Paris actually a great advantage over at A. So we talk about little minor mistakes, how those can start to siphon in. I mean, this would have been a full 4-on-4 battle for Chicago. That instantly changes things. And really within the first 10, 15 seconds of the round, Paris, they've already locked on that A control point.
Yep, and that's exactly how they need to respond, man. Getting that point nice and early, even though they don't have anything towards B. They have 2 minutes, a lot of lives to their advantage. Now, since they just went 3 down, they only have 2 lives advantage here. But OpTic, you're going to see exactly what they're doing. Envoy, being that player to just force the players on the opposite side of the spawn, trying to make them all go around the backside. OpTic is fully set up for it. Aqua's going to win a big gunfight on that Zig. But you see Classic trying to work out on the back with his teammate. Fortunately, almost there to try to keep them at East Bay. And Scump was also there for the help.
Bears trying to make their way inside a kitchen. Formal, who's been so difficult inside a jungle, finally gets dealt with. Scraps is happy to give the comms over to his teammates. The possible pinch is here, and Scraps pretty much just walks right through and says, "Thank you so much, teammates," as everybody falls like flies. Chicago now pretty much off of spawn. They're going to have to get into this point pretty quick. It's got pretty much the first line of offense, or rather defense, to try to get back into this point. Will be successful in his 1v1. Obviously shuts down the second also. Legion are still getting the time. They have to hop into this point quickly. Classic is here. Envoy has to hop in and gets the time, but no. Legion, because of the timing and really kind of off of the start of that round, the accidental teammate sets them up for so much time that they really get the forward clean wipe, and from there, it's easy pickings for Legion. As Chicago were all off spawn, constant 1v1s. Legion, they send us to round 5.
Yeah, it just all came down to trading, man. And you saw Classic with a big 2-piece around that backside, forcing all the players from OpTic to spawn back Laundry. Now that he had full basketball control, you just stack a little bit, eventually worked the 2 ticks. You saw Scump try to open up with a big kill onto that basketball, onto the player in the basketball area. Unfortunately, there were just 2 players remaining. All the players from Paris Legion are spawning directly on the water side, so they're just sprinting forward. They only needed a couple more seconds. Now, we're in a round 5. We're in a round 5, and let's see exactly what OpTic decided to do here.
Yeah, Chicago getting the offense parade in this round number 5. Already off the rip. The attack was made known over at B, and Dashy doing anything he can to try to pick up from carnage that just took place, and it looks as if B is still going to be their target. You see from Legion, they still have a few players over at A. The quick spread now to B as they realize what the intended target's going to be. Formal tosses that nade from afar. Unfortunately, physics in the water, it's not going to work out that great, but there's a 3 in the feed now for Legion. Kind of a similar situation to last round where a group of opposition members fall like flies, and that's going to be quick progress due to the stack that they have inside of the point. That's going to be a very quick capture for Chicago. Now the focus is going to be on A, and Dashy, he's starting to heat up now at 5 in a row.
And you can just see right off the rip, Envoy has all the information that he needs. He's spawning at that B street. He knows that there's a player pushed up in their base. He has to try to eliminate this guy. You're going to have Envoy and Scump trying to look at this one player. Scump's going to be able to win the gunfight on the scraps. Now, they should be able to have some arc control here. Next player off on the line of sights is going to be Aqua. He should get taken down there. Now, OpTic has full arc control. They're going to be able to get that player that's rotating mid. 3 are going to go down for Paris Legion. OpTic, all they have to do is stack here, and they're basically going to close this round out.
Very good position. Now for Chicago, Formal with the cutoff over at Kitchen. Has to be aware of those water stairs as the bait and switch tries to be attempted. However, the trades are going to be there for Chicago. Time starting to tick away. Time starting to go again. And Chicago are going to walk away with this round 5 as well as this series in a hot 3-0. It looked good for Legion at times. In fact, it looked great for Legion at times. Chicago, the adjustments, Chicago just in general, the way that they controlled these big moments toward the stretch was oh so interesting. It's 554 days since OpTic under Hex played their last official series, and here they are walking away with their first official W in the CDL for Cold War.
And you gotta be feeling good if you're an OpTic fan, man. They won their very first Search and Destroy of the entire year. And that's good, man, because when we talk about previous OpTic rosters, S&D has always been their woe kind of game mode. When we're talking about the respawns, we know exactly what kind of players you have. All Slayers across the board. They completely dominated this series. Unfortunately for them, it went down to a round number 5 in that control. They could have closed it out previously if they just made a couple adjustments, but you can just tell they were on point throughout this entire series. Good 3-0 out of OpTic.
Yeah, a very well-collected, rather collective control for Chicago. You see 29 and 23 out of Dashy. Envoy goes 23-25. Scump -1 on the other end. Some good performances from Aqua, right? 26 and 19. Scraps 27 and 22. Fire -3. So really the slaying wasn't too out of hand for either side, but it really kind of was those adjustments. And I think a lot of it kind of had to do with that streak that we saw Dashy go on, at least to start. So you like it if you're Chicago, right? That's a great way to kind of start off your official CDL performance. I know they had the opportunity at kickoff, but if we're including those maps now to here, that is 6 in a row in regards to Cold War. So some good stuff for them, and especially that hard point on Ray to start off. It definitely got them in the right direction, Study.
Yeah, man, when you start off on a map like Ray, that map has been out for like 10 years plus, and Scump knows that map down to the T, man. We've been playing it together for a really long time, since the Black Ops 2 days. So they start off with that map. They basically 100-point club them. Then you go into a Search and Destroy. You go down early 3-0 in rounds, but then you make those mid-game adjustments that just eventually change the entire game. And you're going into that control. They knew exactly what game plan they needed to do. Envoy, with that submachine gun, even though he didn't have that many kills, he was just making tremendous plays, forcing the players from Paris to spawn on the opposite side of the map and try and work 2 times harder at trying to get to that point. It was a great adjustment out of OpTic. Like I said, 3-0, great score. first series for OpTic, you got to be feeling good.
Yeah, it definitely has to feel good, man. We'll go and take a look at our Scump play of the game there in regards to that control, and it's really going to be kind of toward the stretch, right? Kind of in that final round where we're talking about the Legion. Can they start to bring this one back? Can we see a second hard point? And it's really just Chicago uniting together, getting that control. They played, really, it was kind of a team effort, right? You had certain players kind of pushing up. Formal was aggressive over a kitchen. We see Scump getting involved in the feed, and really kind of from there, and really in control. You get 4 down, and it's never going to be an easy task as Chicago kind of utilizing that opportunity and that map positioning for their advantage.
Yeah, it all started with just clearing those players out of that art. If you kill both of those players out of art, which were Scraps and Aqua, they were both just canceling that spawn, forcing the OpTic players to spawn on that water side. You saw Scump, him and Envoy work that perfectly. We're eventually able to take down both of those players and get some positioning to push up onto that point. Scump picked up an AR as well, so he jumps into that top window, able to kill Scraps again. That entire time that that's all going down, Formal was middle map, picking up kills coming out of kitchen. They were just fully set up, man. Had the players spawning at basketball, there was just nothing Paris could do in that situation.
Yeah, so I know there was a lot of talk coming into this series in regards to Chicago saying, you know, hey, is this the right team? Was Dashy the right pickup? Are they going to kind of be that team that we expect them to be? And that 3-0, I think, says a lot, right? It definitely says a lot in regards to the way that this team is performing right now. Their respawns look excellent. They had some good cadence in the search and destroy as well, winning this one in a hot 3-0. However, that is not actually going to be the remainder of today's matches. We still have our home team, Atlanta FaZe, to face off against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Of course, we'll be on that one, Stud. A nice doubleheader today. Excited to see that one. And then obviously here is our opening weekend schedule in regards to the way that things are going to be kind of lining up for Saturday and Sunday. A lot of excitement, especially on those Game Fuel marquee matchups. We got the LA Thieves versus Subliners, and obviously the two teams that we're going to have today. FaZe versus OpTic. That's always a fun one to watch. You know, last year it was FaZe versus Huntsman. A lot of animosity toward the two teams in regards to how long it was until they actually got to face off against each other. But now, obviously, you know, Hex under OpTic and that rivalry versus FaZe. It's going to be a great way to kind of end out the weekend.
It's back to life, man. You got OpTic, Hex, and then you got Atlanta FaZe. These guys have been just going at it for years, man. I'm excited to see this rivalry back in. I can't wait to watch that Game Fuel marquee matchup.
Definitely, man. It's going to be a blast. Like I said, Chicago really come out strong, and I'm excited to see kind of what the future looks like for this team. We'll go and take a look at their Stage 1 schedule. Of course, they get the W here versus the Legion. We talked about that matchup against FaZe coming up, on the 14th? A few days later, they've got the Ultra to face off against. They'll end up matching up against the Guerrillas and end things out against what appears to be a very pesky Mutineers team. Excited to watch that group play. Now, for the Legion, we'll go and take a look at their Stage 1 schedule as well. Not a fun one to kind of break off here in a 3-0 loss, but they've got the Guerrillas coming up tomorrow, actually. That's going to be a fun one to see. Followed up by the Florida Mutineers, Toronto Ultra, and then on the 27th, they will have the Atlanta FaZe. So again, when we talk about this group in particular, Study, really just in general, right? When we talk about the CDL right now, 5v5 was already scary enough last season. In 4v4, and I know it's been talked about constantly, there is no easy team. Like, I mean, the level of competition right now is absolutely insane. I know we just saw a 3-0, but in general, right, the level of competition is out of this world. I keep looking at the schedule and I'm like, well, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be an interesting game. It's just every matchup is going to be great. I'm looking forward to see how the rest of the season shapes up, and I'm expecting quite a few Game 5s, might I add.
Game 5 is looking like a lot, man, but a lot of these teams are just so dominant at respawn. It's going to be really scary, especially if you're one of those top dogs. If you're the Dallas Empires, the OpTics, the LA Thieves, you're one of those top teams that are just expected to be really good at respawn. Now, if you're one of these lower teams, I guess we can say Paris Legion, a team that nobody really wanted to put together. You just need to perfect that one game mode, which is twice in one series, to search and destroy. If they were able to close out that map too, it'd be a totally different series. Unfortunately, they didn't have those mid-game adjustments to close that out.
Definitely, man. Like I said, when it comes down to this particular series, there's a lot of things that you can kind of look at. There's a lot of different situations where you could point out and say, those are the adjustments that we need to make. And I'm sure that Coach Theory is going to be there every step of the way for the Paris Legion. But folks, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. However, when we come back, it is going to be Lottie joined alongside by Scump. We'll be right back.
Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Scump, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. The Call of Duty League is presented by USAA Insurance, auto, renters, and home insurance that's made to help the military community protect what they've worked hard for.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Now joining me, I have one of the most legendary faces in the Call of Duty League, the king himself. It's Scump from OpTic. Scump, I must say, you know, we were very excited by you guys in the Kickoff Classic and what you produced there, the little debut, the little taster, so to speak, that you gave us before heading into the season. I got to ask you guys though, since the Kickoff Classic, how has OpTic been preparing for the points to start going on the board?
I mean, you know, same old. Just a lot of reps every single day. A lot of people are worried about our practice. We are one of the teams that streams our practice regularly. So I guess it's a good and a bad thing where people can see our off days and as well as our good days. But on match days, I mean, we're always coming in to the best of our ability to win. So, you know, you can't put too much stock into those scrims. I mean, Paris was a team that was beating us in scrims, actually. I think we've played them 2 times, and they beat us both times. But, you know, sometimes we're just not there. We're trolling. Practicing every day sometimes gets a little bit tiring. So match days, we're always coming to play.
Absolutely, I like it. Hey, you got to leave a little bit in the tank at the scrims. You can't show them everything, man. You got to leave a little something for game day, and I like it. I like what I'm seeing here. Now, obviously, you are fantastic at respawns. We've seen some epic things from you in the 2 matches we've seen you play so far at the beginning of 2021. But Search and Destroy, talk to me about that. Are you looking as a team to finesse that a little bit more? Is that something you're going to be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, the past 2 years, 3 years, my gameplay in Search has been a lot better than previous years. And then with obviously Bruce and Dylan, I think we have a really good all-around S&D team. A lot of people will say our respawn is really good and we're one of the best respawn teams, which I agree with. But, you know, we are no slouches in S&D. And I think people are going to see that again this year. I mean, last year we were really good at Search as well. It just comes down to clutching up and preparing like we do. We know that we're good at Search, and I don't think people should really worry about us too much in Search and Destroy because we definitely have been proving that we're good at it, and we're going to continue to do so throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, you regained composure like the pros you are. That was completely evident during that series. So I think the fans are going to be very happy with that one, just to see how you guys can flip it around on the map. So fantastic stuff there. And my final question for you, Scump, is, you know, we have been really focusing quite a lot and quite heavily on Dashy because obviously he's the new face of the town in Chicago. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where I think a lot of fans and even just a lot of people here, even at the Call of Duty League, are putting quite a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Dashy to perform based on kind of what we've seen motivational-wise from him in previous seasons of Call of Duty. So what is it like having Dashy as a teammate? What can we expect as fans of OpTic?
I mean, Bruce is back on his grind. Bruce has been amazing thus far. I know a lot of people, like you said, were worried about him, especially with his track record last year. But I mean, he stayed at my house for 3 weeks. He'd come in and say, "I'm home," and like stuff like that. So he also says that he's never leaving. No one's ever getting his spot again. So I think that Bruce is here to stay. And you said facts in the background. Bruce has been awesome thus far. I mean, he's obviously super talented, and it's been a pleasure teaming with him as well as in Black Ops 4. So I wouldn't worry about Bruce. I'll keep him in check. He knows that. So yeah, I think Bruce is good. No need to worry.
I like that. Papa Scump. I love it. Bruce is home.
Yeah,
we're very happy.
Someone's got to do it.
We're very excited to see you guys back, and you know, hey, every brick in that wall is back where it belongs. I am so gassed for this season for you guys and the regaining strength that OpTic has had. Thank you so much for joining me again, Scump, and best of luck going forward for the rest of the season, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There you go, guys. That is going to do it for Scump here. We have quite a banger up next for you. What an epic match. We've got FaZe versus Guerrillas. We're going to head to a quick break, but we got all the rest of the action for the rest of the day coming up right after this. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Use code CDL 2021 for a special CDL launch event discount on GameFuel.com. Tournament audio and team listenings are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is opening weekend here at the Atlanta home series, and you see on your screens Atlanta FaZe facing off against the Guerrillas. It is going to be a fun match to watch. Study, yourself and I are still hanging out in the virtual studio.
Yes, we are.
We've got a great view behind us. The city of Atlanta is cheering on their team. I can hear it, and the building is actually rattling right now. But I tell you what, man, I'm excited for this. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. First cast. How you feeling right now, Study?
I'm feeling good, man. You know, OpTic, you know, they just 3-0 destroyed Paris in that very first series, and I'm looking forward to this series between Atlanta and the Guerrillas, man. This is going to be a battle. It's because both of these players, you know, Atlanta coming off a 3-2 loss and Guerrillas coming off a 3-2 win. I know Atlanta has that fire.
Definitely, man. When we talk about Atlanta, we also got to talk about their opposition. Let's go ahead and meet the Los Angeles Guerrillas.
The Guerrillas getting it done. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of the LAG. Silly finds the first. Lovely teamwork. My God.
Gets dealt with the pressure inside the hill and the double nade from aBeZy.
Salt lines him up, finds himself too.
Vivid just has the one to win against Octane.
And Vivid has got his number. Beautiful round. Fantastic execution from the LA Guerrillas. Oh, yeah.
Love that video of the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Always great to see how these teams are showing off their talent, and talent indeed, my friend. We've got Vivid obviously joining us back from the Guerrillas last season. Other than that, a total change-up in the roster department for LA. They bring in aBeZy, Assault, and Silly. These guys have obviously won a world championship in the past together back in World War II. Study, there's a lot to like when it comes down to this Guerrillas team.
Yeah, I love this team from top to bottom, man. Like you said it, former world champions back in World War II. The only difference is they had Aches instead of Vivid. And Vivid was a phenomenal player for the Guerrillas last year. Unfortunately, they did not have the seasons that they wanted, but they have a lot of faith in this young player to come in, especially with the veteran presence that he has around him now, to make that impact for the Guerrillas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Vivid play. Really, I think this is a good opportunity for him, kind of coming into a full official season, his first kind of opening start when we talk about kind of having a full season of play. But it's not going to be an easy, really an easy first match by any means when we talk about our home team. Let's go ahead and meet the Atlanta FaZe.
The game has turned on its head.
Run! Run! Get onto the point! Cellium finds himself 2 more. Oh, baby! Absolutely slayed. What a magnificent comeback from Atlanta.
We thought Atlanta FaZe was scary last year. Looking at this team on paper, it is terrifying. Just to put it lightly, aBeZy, Cellium, and Simp back together, obviously coming into this next season. And the roster change they actually decide to make is to bring in Arcitys. That man aLLeY is absolutely disgusting study. I mean, this group together, again, we talk about history, kind of world championship history. You also have Arcitys, aBeZy, and Simp, who won back in 2019 with E United. A lot of chemistry here as well, and really to have Arcitys joining this team, there's a lot of people who said this may be like the best roster change of the season. I think it absolutely has to be up there, if not regarded as one of the best, given the way that Atlanta FaZe looked last year.
Yeah, so when we made the adjustment to go from 5v5 to 4v4, you know, they were teaming last year with MajorManiak and Priestahh. When you're dropping both of them, obviously, going back to 4v4, you need to keep one. So they decided to switch both and bring in Arcitys. And this team is unbelievable. Like you said, 3 world champions, again, on this roster with a player like Cellium, who was basically an MVP throughout the entire last year. Man, he was just out of this world. So this is going to be an insane matchup because I know that they did lose 3-2 in the Kickoff Classic versus their team in Florida. But they got to be coming out with fire right now, going versus the Guerrillas here.
Oh, they definitely do, man. Like I said, let's go ahead and check out their game fuel keys to victory here first for the Atlanta FaZe. And it really kind of is exactly what you talked about, right? Shake off that loss at kickoff versus Florida. They go 0-2 in search and destroy. Overall KD is 0.81. Not common for the Atlanta FaZe, especially last year. Obviously, have to work on making the right decisions versus a very disciplined LAG team. A very good note, right, when we talk about the other team that they'll be facing off against is a very disciplined team. One note for Atlanta FaZe last year was Cellium had even brought it up during the offseason. Hey, the one mistake that we made constantly was our rotations and hardpoint, kind of the little things, right? Things that you have to be disciplined about. That is kind of the definition of the Los Angeles Guerrillas, as we'll go and take a look at their game fuel keys to victory here as well, stud.
And then you got to for the keys to victory for the Guerrillas, take advantage of Atlanta's mistakes and prepare for their slaying. We know exactly what kind of players are on Atlanta FaZe. Players are going to have to step up. If you're on the Guerrillas, I'm looking at aBeZy. 1.2 for the kickoff. He's going to have to keep that up. Papa App, like I said, keep up that slaying department, man. 92 and 76. 1.2. You know, the next player that was next to him was Assault with a 1.03. But you're going up against an Atlanta FaZe team that I feel has that fire since losing that kickoff classic. And you have to be able to keep up with them in the slaying department.
And it's not going to be easy to keep up with the tiny tears, to keep up with those guys. It's going to be a tall task without question. But I think the talking point on aBeZy is great, right? Because, I mean, he was the player to look out for when it came down to the Kickoff Classic and their victory versus the Seattle Surge. I mean, that was huge for him. And I feel like, obviously, you're a guy who's teamed with him before. A lot of history when it comes down to playing with Brian. You know, and from your playing history, how much difference does it make when aBeZy is playing the same way that he did just a few weeks ago?
Well, the thing that's so scary about aBeZy is even when we were teaming back in the day, the guy just always had a really slow start to every single Call of Duty. And now you see him right off the rip being the best slayer on this team. He's starting off at a whole new level, man. So it's all about just staying consistent for him. You know, he is a father now, so he has that to play for as well. The guy's he's just ready for action, man. And I'm so excited to see Father Rap back in action.
Absolutely. And, you know, we talk about aBeZy. You know, I remember at the beginning, I think it was Black Ops 4, there was constantly a lot of discussion with him and his teammates. I remember, like, watching the streams. He was like, I just don't understand 5v5. Like, you know, there was a lot of situations where he'd find himself out in the open. And we know with MW and how trading obviously worked last season. It was never really easy for players to kind of go off and do their own thing. Obviously, there were some moments from time to time, but I think aBeZy definitely is in a much more comfortable place when we talk about 4 versus 4. Here are maps and modes. Crossroads, Hardpoint to start. Then we got a few garrisons, just a few. In fact, all of them. To wind things out, some good old Miami Search and Destroy. It's a great place to be. It's a great way to kind of round out this series. If we do obviously get to it, something to note: Crossroads, Hardpoint. Study, right? That was the map that Atlanta FaZe did lose to Florida Mutineers. It was a pretty dominant loss, around 250, 120, somewhere in kind of that space. So this could be a great opportunity for Guerrillas. On the flip side, it also could be something that Atlanta FaZe has been playing constantly over and over again since their loss to Florida, specifically on that map.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see, man. As we load in, I'm looking at the players, at least the sub players on both sides. The Tiny Terrors versus aBeZy and Vivid. Don't worry, we'll come up with a nickname for them eventually. But the Tiny Terrors on a map like this, man, it's going to be so scary. AK-70 fuel used all over the map. Don't forget that P3 to P4 hardpoint. You need to have those back spawns because you can chain both. That's what's going to be the opening for this map right here for me.
Yeah, that's a great point to call out. When we talk about this beginning, Atlanta FaZe with the advantageous spawns in regards to P2 over here in Garage. But as you called it, a very fast-paced map, a map that I'm sure Simp and aBeZy are going to feel quite at home on, despite, again, the loss to Florida at kickoff. But get things started here early. It's Silly winning the initial engagement now versus Simp, as it'll be Silly, along with the nice support from his old teammate in Assault. And just like that, due to that map positioning, it is going to be the Guerrillas who already off the break with the spawns for P2.
Yeah, that was huge. You saw Vivid, he dropped down ice and had that one-on-one play with that guy that usually plays that AS&D. He was able to walk out with that gunfight. Once his teammates were able to pick up all the kills on the hill, they were able to flip, go down once again for for FaZe. This is bad, man. They're going to be going towards that P2. It's going to be 20 seconds remaining on P1. 30 seconds for the LA Guerrillas. This is a great start to this first map for the Guerrillas.
It is, and Assault's pretty much primed it ready with the XM4, just trying to utilize the movement to the best of his ability. He'll get taken down. FaZe will grab the remaining seconds, but really kind of given the positioning, you're overall very happy with that. If you're Guerrillas, right? And in regards to that first hill, it's never easy. Plus, you flip spawns in the very first few engagements. However, we talked about it. Crossroads, it can very quickly start to go back and forth, and we're starting to learn about that very early on. Just as I'm talking about the highlights of Guerrillas, they also end up flipping out. Atlanta now with control. When we talk about Garage, aBeZy ends up getting taken down after the 5-3. Simp's trying to be there for some remaining control as they'll take down aBeZy. Still, the presence being felt from the Guerrillas, a valuable 30 seconds left.
And if you're Atlanta FaZe, it's the best case scenario. You decide to all push through that P1 area. They were able to chain 3 kills back to back, forcing all the players from the Guerrillas to spawn all the way on the opposite side. And it's a great bounce back for Atlanta. Now the only thing is, Guerrillas are going to have the spawns for P3 and for P4. How are they going to decide to play this? Are they going to decide to just flood out this hill or play towards that hop-up?
That's a great call, and that's what LAG is trying to be aware of, is kind of that spread, multiple lanes. They're going to be attempted by Atlanta FaZe to try to go for the flip, really, because as you talked about it, P3 to P4, that's where you're looking to lock down some time, and the Guerrillas, they want to try to play this one carefully, play this one passively, don't give up too much time. So he's going for a few of the pre-fires into the multiple angles to get inside of fire, actually toward the outside, able to drop down Arcitys, 40 seconds still left in the hill. FaZe getting majority of this time. It looks as if toward that outskirts position, toward back rock, it's a wide open spawn. In Atlanta, they might have exploited that.
Yeah, Atlanta did that beautifully. They just all stacked the hill. Once they were able to chain the 2-3 kills together, eventually a player was able to push out of that back and eventually give his team the spawns. This is a great setup out of Atlanta FaZe. There's going to be 20 seconds remaining on this P3 hardpoint. They didn't even need to go around that cliffside to try to flip it. And that was the perfect case scenario. Once you're able to chain a couple kills in towards that P3, the players should automatically start spawning out if you start pushing up the map a little better. And so far, Atlanta FaZe, after playing a terrible P1 hardpoint, they have bounced back tremendously in the next 2.
You look at player number 8, aBeZy. He's waiting for the hop-up. He wants to try to have his teammates rush to the front so he can try to make a play in the back, and Arcitys is aware of it. A clean 4 down for Atlanta FaZe. Overall dominance being displayed over at Temp. The guys have got to be hyped. In fact, let's go to an Astro Gaming listen-in with the Atlanta FaZe.
There's one trophy there.
That's right there.
Don't see him, Cat. Fence. I'm staying down.
Right.
Cat. Fence.
Fire door.
Fire door. Fire door. I did not flip. Telling you assault.
They spawn in front of me. They're hitting you. Take your time. Just hold fire.
One trophy on him. Push up fire.
Back door.
The trophy.
No, he's front.
No front door. Yeah. He pinched it. There's two. One's on fire. One more outer. Nice. Outer.
He challenged me.
I'm going with you. Fire.
I
don't say anything. I got a trophy. Leave out.
I'm trying. Many tires.
Look at your outer. I have your outer. Stay down. I'm watching.
I think
there's a guy tires.
I'm hard flash. Stay down.
He's on carry.
Oh, should I have your cat?
I'm tires.
Stay down.
Stay down.
I don't know.
Just one more truck.
Truck.
Good job. Four.
I'm on streaks.
They're still there. I'm turning around just in case.
In the back.
On the truck. On the truck.
Once one, yes. Vivid in.
Chance to listen in with the comms of Atlanta FaZe, what Arcitys brought in from Chicago last season, studied for pretty much that exact reason. They want somebody to kind of speak up during the big moments, and Arcitys absolutely can provide that for this team. And in combination with the slang from guys like aBeZy, Simp, and Cellium, it makes for a phenomenal combo. Simp currently finding himself on a 6 as Atlanta looks to try to stack upon the lead. And we'll see if Guerrillas can hold on to this. We saw constant spawn flips last time around. FaZe looking to try to make their way pretty much toward that back crate position. aBeZy pretty much trying to be a thorn in their side as Atlanta walk through the door, and now they've got the second.
Once again, all the players from Atlanta FaZe just pushing through that P1 side. You saw a player from the LA Guerrillas spawn out, get a parallel spawn with one of the players from FaZe. They're just trying to do everything that they can to hold this remaining time. 30 seconds are going to be left on P2, and it's looking like Guerrillas have finally settled the storm here, able to pick up some time, eventually break that 100-point mark. But like I said, man, the way that Atlanta FaZe held that very first rotation of P3 and P4, if you're the Guerrillas, you need to break this nice and early. You need to be able to flip these spawns on their head and eventually have someone sit back there this time so they don't flip on the backside.
And it looks as if it might be Silly trying to go toward the hop-up. Definitely going to try to play spoiler, and maybe even as the Guerrillas try to engage from the front, they may be thinking more long-term, as aBeZy does find the unfortunate team kill, also drops from the front door. Here comes the opportunity for Silly. Shout out to the observers. You've given us all angles. And in the meantime, take a look at where the spawns are. Yeah, Atlanta, they spawn out. Guerrillas, they now have the most favorable ones for P3 to P4. They also had the time inside of the hill. So that's Guerrillas, kind of that determination that we saw from them, a roster who's going to really work on the small things. They decided to kind of sacrifice a few players from the front in order to get the ending exchange. At least for now, it's working out steady.
Yeah, perfect case scenario, man. You just cause a distraction at the front side of the hill, gives Silly enough time to work around that backside. Didn't even need to pick up a kill, but eventually gives his team the spawns. Now, Atlanta FaZe are going to be able to pick up the remaining 15 seconds on towards P3. But you see the LA Guerrillas spawning out towards hop-up. If you're Atlanta FaZe, all you have to do is just bum rush the front side, but unfortunately, Assault is able to take down aBeZy and eventually slow down their push. If you're the Guerrillas, hold the full 60 here. This can get you right back into this game.
Yeah, definitely can. This is the hill. Do it on a few of the streaks inbound. All players staying alive, but at least that player who was actually hanging out in the hill, I believe that was Vivid. He gets cut down. Now, pretty much toward that back rock position is where the remaining two are going to be. That's Silly, that's Vivid. They both get dropped, and now the Atlanta FaZe, they will take control over Tent, pitching one themselves. A Simp from the side. How about possibly 3 in a row? No, Vivid's going to stop that one, so some control still gained from FaZe. Vivid trying to do anything he can from the front side. Some attacks from the flank onto Silly. Cellium's able to win it. Hill's going to be vacant for the moment, but as the dust settles, it is Arcitys who is there to grab the remaining seconds. FaZe, it's only just a matter of time, it seems, in a major lead situation, grabbing the remaining time here at P4. And now here on the reset, the Guerrillas, they've got a lot of work to do, my friend.
Yeah, if you're the Guerrillas, you basically need to play flawless hardpoint from this point out. Arcitys 25 and 18, Simp 20 and 15. You see all the players from the Guerrillas are basically negative. The only one positive is going to be Silly. We're looking at aBeZy on this map, 17 and 23 for the young man. And he was just not able to keep up with the slaying department of Atlanta FaZe.